Alright, hello and welcome back to Final Fantasy V, Super Nintendo Original. Alright, last time made a little pit stop here on the way, well, out of the way to the Wind Shrine. No, oh, I guess maybe we were. You said you wanted to go get drunk, so we figured we'd let you go do just that. Make up your mind, dude. Alright, now. Yeah, here we go with this crap again. Just like in the first video. Wind does stop occasionally. Well, I guess not for these guys. Again, like I said in video number 1, I guess for these guys, if the wind just suddenly stops, it's a sign of coming apocalypse. Sign of coming apocalypse. Look out for falling asteroids. Alright, well, of course, getting back to the wind stopping thing, that's all tied into the common occurrence in Final Fantasy games. Part 1 had it. Part 2, the real Part 2 in Japan, NES, the game that was never brought here to America originally to this day, we've only gotten remakes, like the GBA and the PSP, and most recently the Pixel Remaster, but I think is the only exception. But then we're back to it again in Final Fantasy 3, 4, and now this game. Crystals! That's somewhat of a spoiler, but then again, not really. You saw that intro sequence where the crystal clearly cracks. Yeah. The stability of the entire planet hinges on the solidarity of 4 crystals, 1 representing fire, 1 water, 1 earth, and 1 wind. Yeah, common occurrence in Final Fantasy games. 4 out of the first 5 in the main series. And just for good measure, since they couldn't get enough of that story crutch, even the side game Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. Yeah, you think they could have used a little bit more originality and story arcs here? Just a bit. Yeah. Screw it. Why come up with a new story curve when the crystal idea is working just fine? Yeah. 4 out of the first 5 in the main series. And on the side game Mystic Quest. And I don't even know about the Final Fantasy Legend trio of games on the Game Boy, on the original Game Boy, but of course, technically they weren't originally Final Fantasy, they were ported as Final Fantasy games, but originally in Japan they were some series altogether differently, or altogether different saga or something like that. They're only Final Fantasy games here in North America, from what I've heard anyways. Anyways, so that's that. Square's lack of originality and creativity when coming up with main story plot. Screw it. Why strain ourselves trying to think of anything? We'll just use the crystal gag again. They work so well. And then there's this line. They automatically assume the worst because he goes up there and doesn't come back right away. They ever stop to think that maybe that's his hiding place, his special hiding place, his home away from home, or however you want to put that in whatever terminology you use, his place to get away from it all? Being a king has to be a stressful thing. He just wants to go up there and, unwind and chill a bit. You ever think of that? Yeah, see? Automatically assuming the worst. Tisk, tisk. Shame be on you. Oh yeah, that it is. Alright, let's go. And this is why I didn't bother sleeping at the inn back in town before coming here. Free inn, well not really an inn, but free healing. And I'm not going to talk to those guys, they just basically re-insinuate what we've already heard. Yeah. The wind has stopped, oh heaven forbid. Whitesnake, here I go again. Slide it in. The deeper the yeah, I know, not that Whitesnake. What? For the billionth time, people who've been watching these videos long enough should be used to the mindless 80s rock references every single chance I possibly get. Should be used to that by now. I've been doing these videos for almost 3 years now. Come on. It's not like mindlessly referencing some 80s rock band just started with this video. Oh, tent. I guess we're going camping? Of course, attempted comedy aside, anybody that's played Final Fantasy games knows what a tent is used for. On the world map or on save points, use it to recover your party's MP and HP, if only slightly, depending on the game or the version of the game. And in the NES original of the first game, you also saved your game on the world map. Great for saving your game right in front of the entrance to a dungeon. So if you died there, you'd have to re-walk your way all back from the nearest town all the way back over there again. Just restart, reload your save file from right there at the entrance to the dungeon, cave, castle. Of course, being that we're talking about the NES original of the NES original of the first Final Fantasy game, Final Glitch Fantasy, it doesn't work like it's supposed to. While the tent, cabins, or house items did replenish your MP, but if you died and had to reload that save file, your MP would be back to whatever it was before you used it. It saved your game, then restored your MP to full. Yeah, some bug. Surprise, surprise, given the game we're talking about here, the version of the game we're talking about here, some bug. Oh, surely I jest. There's no bugs in the NES original Final Fantasy. No. Uh-huh. It saved your game before replenishing your magic. So, yeah. So you'd have to, after doing that, you'd have to use another tent to save your game with that. Yeah. So I ended up having, basically, if you wanted to save your game with full magic, you ended up having to use 2 tent items. Or a house and a tent, rather, since I don't think tents alone did that. Yeah. Just another one of the marvelous little bugs in the NES original. And one of the reasons why I could never go back to playing the NES original. Especially now, since we have the Pixel Remaster, which restores the only slight bit of nostalgia I ever had for the NES original, the music tracks. Since the Pixel Remaster allows you to play the game with the original NES music restored, well, let's just say there'll be 50 hours in a single day before I so much as even load up the NES original version of that game again. Yeah. I love that game, but yeah, just anyways, just save points, something that started here in North American chronology with part 4. Well, of course, for us it was part 2 for years to follow, but because of Nintendo of America's wonderful decision to renumber the series, and any longtime Final Fantasy fan already knows about that, and I've already gone over that myself in many of these videos for part 1 or part 7, so yeah. Or even other RPGs in general, so yeah. Part 4 is part 2, part 6 is part 3, and then you get to part 7, released globally as part 7, and American fans are like, wait a minute, what happened to 4, 5, what happened, yeah, you get, what happened to 4, 5, and 6? Yeah. Anyways, a piece of leather, what do I need? It's actually a shield or a helmet, but okay. Alright, now, I could walk all the way up, all the way over to the right, and all the way back down again and follow the obvious path, but having played this game, God, I don't know, it's not like I've been keeping track, at least a couple dozen times, whether it's the PS1 American original, or the Game Boy Advance, or now the more recent Pixel Remaster, one way or the other, I'd say at least a couple dozen times that I've played this game. Yeah. Again, later you get an item ability that lets you see these secret passageways, but sure, after I buy one in the which of course brings, you know, up at ages-old RPG, not really argument, but topic. Do you buy weapons and armor in shops, knowing that there's a very good chance you might find that same item free in a chest in some dungeon soon? Or do you not? I mean, you know, me personally, I would rather buy it because A, you'll have it until then, and you can always sell the one like this one. The one I just found, I could, as soon as I'm back in town again, I could just sell that one. And B, okay, fine. Let's say I didn't buy any of those swords, thinking, oh, I'm just going to find one in a dungeon somewhere sooner or later anyway. Then you never do. Yeah. Oops. Yeah. So, again, like just now with the broadsword I just found. So I'll just sell that one as soon as I get back to town after this. Or whenever I need some extra money. Anyways. Mold wind. Okay. So in other words, those enemies stink. Quite literally. Okay. Sad attempt at comedy there, but nothing. Just what I always wanted. To go out of my way to find an empty room. Dude, if I wanted to do that, I'd play Final Fantasy II. That game is okay. had a lot of good ideas, just wasn't implemented too well. You know, like the idea that you level up swords by actually using swords. You level up axes by actually using axes. Magic by yeah. You don't just gain experience for anything and everything all at once, so to speak. But each ability individually, and only by using that. I mean, how are you going to get fire casting ability if you're not casting fire spell? Makes sense, but it does get a little tedious because you know, if you want to like master all, or not really master, but highly level up all 3 elements, fire, lightning, and ice, that's just that much more grinding you're going to have to do. Plus for weapons, you know, swords, axes, daggers, staves, just that much more grinding you're going to have to do to get those ability points. Plus, I actually like the idea that for MP, the amount of MP it takes to cast the spell is dictated by what level it is. You know, level 1, 1 MP, level 2, 2 MP, and so forth and so on. So you never have a magic spell that could take 50 to 100 points to use just once. You'll never have a Knights of the Round from Final Fantasy VII. What was it, 250, something like that? I don't remember. It's been a while since I played Final Fantasy VII that far in, but yeah. Anyways, just point being, Final Fantasy II was an okay game, but good God, that had a lot of those dead-end rooms. And to make matters worse, the encounter rates seemed to be hiked up dramatically in those rooms. You'd be lucky to get back out of that room without triggering a random battle. Yeah. I like that game. I might do a playthrough of it at some point, but after this one, for Final Fantasy games, it's either Mystic Quest or Final Fantasy VI, one of the two. Of course, I say after this one, I still got a long way to go. I mean, I'm only in the first dungeon. I'm only in the second video. I still got a long way to go on this one yet. Because I've barely begun. Ooh, shit. I don't know. That. Shit. Yeah, it does. It does do that here. Yeah. This is the point in the series where they like doing that, like I mentioned in my playthrough for Final Fantasy VII. In Final Fantasy IV, Part 4, you had that Mist Dragon, where if you attacked it, in Mist form, you were probably going to pay the consequence for it, or you're going to get hit with a powerful attack. At least you might not die from it, but... Oh shoot, speaking of dying, I almost did just now. Ooh. Damn. That almost became my first party wipe of the new game. But anyways, yeah. In Part 4, repeated for emphasis, you had that Mist Dragon as the first boss of the game. If you attacked it in Mist form, it had a powerful counterattack. Here you just saw what happens if you attack that bird when its wings are closed. In Part 6, that turtle whelk thing, if you attacked it while its head was in its shell, ooh, what a lightning attack. Oh great, my hair is standing on it. Now I look like Doc Emmett O'Brien. Yeah. They just like doing that at this point in the series, having some catch for the first boss battle. Granted, I don't know how many of the games they've done that in since then, but where the first boss right from the start. And how many Okay, good. I do have 2 of them. Just in case I get into any more battles along the way. Oh. Never mind. And again, that badly placed intro cutscene. If they wanted this to be a surprise to you, to me, to anyone playing the game, to the gamer playing the game, that cutscene should not have been there. Because we already know. We already saw this crystal crack into pieces. So we already knew that. This is no surprise anymore. Story-wise, to our party, it's a massive surprise. They were expecting to see the thing still still intact. And lo and behold, oh shoot, yeah. So for them, it's a big surprise, but for us, we already seen it happen. I don't know what they were thinking by putting that cutscene at the beginning of the game, but they should have been fired. Never allowed to legally work in any country on this planet for the rest of their life. Okay, that's a bit extreme for one mistake, but fine. They should have at least been fined. And this, they try to tell you where the other crystals are. Problem with this is by the time you get, especially for the last couple, by the time you get to that point in the game, you're probably going to have forgotten all about the details of this cutscene sequence. Yeah. Unless you got a damn good memory, especially for the last one, for the fourth and final of these crystals. It's not like by the time you actually get to that screen, you're going to remember, hey, wait, that's from the cutscene earlier. Uh-huh. I mean, I suppose it's possible, but yeah, that's quite a long ways away in terms of gameplay time. Even if you don't do any extra grinding. But come on now. Anybody who's seen my RPG playthrough videos should know that I am going to be doing a ton of grinding. And then some more after that. Over leveled all the way. Yeah. That's just me. And this playthrough, well, if you think this playthrough is going to be any different, are you in for a surprise? Well, not really, but yeah. Dream War. Oh, never mind. Yeah. And that would be truly catastrophic. If all. Yeah. Again. Come on, Squaresoft. By this point. 3 out of the last 4 games, not that anybody in America knew about Part 3, but yeah. Yeah. Again, I love the Final Fantasy series, don't get me wrong, but the first 5 games, they could have used a little more originality in the main story plot. Crystals are going to shatter. Oops, we're all doomed. That's it. Bend over and kiss your ass goodbye. The crystal just broke. We're dead. Yeah. Really? Oh, the crystal just shattered. It's been nice knowing you, but we're all going to die now. Come on, Square. Or by today's terminology, you'd be saying Square Enix, but yeah. I mean, I suppose to be fair, the first 3 Dragon Quest games were all about the one character, Erdrick. either him or his descendants. Then the 4th, 5th, and 6th Dragon Quest game are all about Zenithia, some mythical, you know, place in the sky like heaven or some shit, or excuse me, some crap. So they liked repeating storyline arcs in Dragon Quest as well, but yeah. And how many Zelda games have you played that have a Triforce and Ganon or Ganondorf as the final boss? Yeah. Suddenly Square's relying on crystals as story plots don't seem so repetitive anymore. When you consider how many Mario games had Bowser as the final boss. Yeah. Anyways, job classes. Yeah. And some theorize that this is why this game was overlooked for North American release at the time in 1992. Personally, I don't see that being the case because we got Dragon Warrior 3 on the NES in well, granted, it wasn't until 1992, around the time this game, actually, yeah, around the time this game would have came out. Well, probably not this, around the time this game came out in Japan. Probably would have taken a year or two to translate and localize, so probably wouldn't have came out here until like 93, 94. Yeah. Then again, I don't know. Final Fantasy VI, or what we got as Final Fantasy III, didn't take that long to translate and localize. I mean, I'd have to look it up, but I think it was only like a half a year. It was released in Japan in March of '94. It was released here in October of that same year. So, yeah. Anyways, cool. Since there is no exit spell in this, well, there is, but it's some time away yet. Like the first Final Fantasy game. Yeah, don't even get me started on that. I probably went overboard with my rants against that whole idea of the first Final Fantasy game when I played through it a couple of years ago. Granted, I played the Game Boy Advance remake version, but how you can buy how you can buy the exit spell in Crescent Lake Town just before going into the fire dungeon. Theoretically. But due to plot wall, you can't get it until a little later. Yeah. Here, well, to be fair, at least here you don't even have access to the shop that sells it for quite some time yet. It's not like the first game where you can get to that town, see the spell being sold, and be like, hey, cool, can I buy that now? Damn you, game. Screw you. You're just teasing. Here, you want this spell, don't you? Well, too bad you can't have it yet. Yeah, screw you. Anyways, again, like I said in the first video, you can tell this is an older game. How can you tell that? Not just by looking at the graphics, but by the idea that they're actually asking you if you want tutorials. They're not forcing you to watch them. Every time you replay the game, you actually do have the option. The tutorial is here if you want it, but skippable if you do not. What a concept. When did this concept get lost on game developers? Sometime in the early 2000s. As they still had it in the Zelda Oracle games. In that first town, well, the only town of the entire game pretty much, but yeah. The know-it-all bird hut, or whatever they called it. Yeah. The tutorials were there if you wanted them, but you didn't even have to go into that hut if you didn't. And again, I have nothing against tutorials in video games. They can be very useful sometimes, especially on a first playthrough. But my only problem with it is why? On a 7th playthrough, do I still have to watch the same tutorials that I did on the first one, with no chance of skipping them? Why? By the time I've played a game that many times, I already know everything the tutorials could possibly tell me. I don't need to see them again. God damn it. Sorry, pardon my language, but it frickin' pisses me off. Have all the cutscenes and tutorials and all that stuff you want, but make them skippable. A-holes. Anyways. Pick it up from here next. Actually, no. Yeah, okay, crap. A lot of cutscene story sequences here, so yeah. Pick it up from here next time. As always, thanks for watching and putting up with my mindless rants about stupid crap that only I care about, I'm sure. And we'll see you next time for even more of the same. See ya.